Are you looking to buy a home in DuPage County? In this video, we're going to discuss the process, what to expect, and then next steps. I'm Amy Pecoraro, your DuPage County real estate expert. Typically, what I like to do is go over the process from start to finish, and it's just kind of a quick overview. You're going to forget some of this, but that's okay. First and foremost, we want to know, are you pre-approved? Have you been pre-approved for a mortgage? And if not, that would be our first step. Once we talk to a lender, which I have recommendations, or you can go with your own lender, you give them a call and get pre-approved so we know how much can you spend on your home. Once we know how much you can afford, then we determine what are you going to buy, where are you going to live, what type of home do you want. But we need to know, what is my affordability? Is it $300,000? Is it $500,000? Because you can buy different things for those different amounts of money. Once we have that number, I will set up an MLS search for you so that you get all the new listings that come on the market as soon as they come on. You know, we touch base on those new listings on a daily basis to see if there's any that you want to see. Once we have a few that you're interested in, or even one that you're interested in, maybe it's that perfect house that came on the market, we want to make an appointment, we want to go view it. And let's just assume you've gone and looked at, 10 houses or so, and now you found the perfect house. What's the next step? Well, we write an offer. We write an offer, meaning I have a contract, which I always supply you with a copy of the contract and the disclosures ahead of time so you can see what they look like. You can review them, so when it does come time for us to write that offer, you're not surprised at what you're signing. We go over what parts of the contract apply to your purchase, and then we negotiate on your behalf with the sellers and the seller's agent. Now let's just assume that was a really quick and easy process, and we have an accepted offer. Now we have 5 business days for an attorney AI period. That's built into our sales contracts with Main Street's, the Board of Realtors. So within that 5 business days, you want to get your home inspection done. You want to get your earnest money sent or dropped off, however it is we're going to process your earnest money. Once your home inspection is completed, then we're going to review any of the issues that were possibly brought up during that home inspection. Were there any deficiencies that we want the seller to fix? Are there any credits we need to ask for? Or was everything just fine and we get to move on? Once we get past that attorney modification period, then your lender will order the appraisal, because they don't want to order the appraisal because it costs you money. They don't want to spend your money until they know you're ready to move forward. Then your lender starts the loan process. The appraisal is ordered, they start requesting documents from you, and they start that loan process. The attorney is also starting with title and the deed. They're doing all that behind the scenes. Once the appraisal comes in and we know that the appraisal came back at the value of the sales contract, that we don't have any problems or negotiating we need to go back with the seller to do because it didn't come in at value. So we assume it did and everything's moving forward there. Now it's time to get a homeowner's insurance policy, because the home has to be insured before the lender will give a final approval. Now it doesn't kick in until the day of closing, but you have to have that policy in place. Let's assume we're a few days out from closing. We schedule a final walkthrough. We do the final walkthrough to make sure that the house is in the same condition it was the day that you wrote that offer, because you haven't been back to the house since then, and now the seller's moved out. We want to make sure they didn't put holes in the wall or leave garbage in the house, and just everything's functioning the way that it should be. Maybe there's something that we had them fix from the home inspection that we want to double check and make sure that they took care of that issue. All those things are taken care of through the final walkthrough. And then it's closing day. They typically schedule the closing a couple days before, so we know what time, how much money to bring, and where to show up. Closing day, all you need to do is bring the money they told you to bring, your ID, and we're ready to close. The keys will change hands as soon as the closing is complete and the home is yours to go move into. We'll tell you what you need to do as the process goes by, but as a buyer, you're literally going to sign the contract. We're going to go over the contract, review it, make sure the items are how you want it to be, that the offer price is what you wanted to offer, the earnest money and everything, all the details you and I discuss, and then you sign the contract. From that point on, the negotiating is done through me. Of course, I'm talking to you as that's happening to make sure that you're in agreement, okay? And then once the contract is accepted and it's time to move forward with the lender, really all you're gonna need to do is get the lender the documents they need to help get your loan approved. If you stumble upon an open house, you are more than welcome to go by yourself. Just when you walk in the door and I typically give all of my buyers a few of my business cards. Just hand them my business card. I'm working with Amy. They'll leave you alone because they know you have a relationship with another agent. There's one final piece of paper that a buyer needs to sign before we start looking at homes, and that's the new buyer broker agreement form. The laws changed last year, and sellers they were never obligated to pay commission, but now it is definitely not part of the commissions that a seller is paying to the buyer broker. They may agree to pay a buyer broker commission, but it's not necessarily advertised. It's not spoken about until the sales contract comes through and the buyer has asked for the seller to pay that commission to their agent or to their brokerage. The buyer broker agreement needs to be signed before we go look at houses, because I need to know that you and I are on the same page and that you understand that I'm here working for you and that no other agent is. So the whole process from the time we meet to the time of closing really depends on you, okay, and how long it takes to find the right home. But once we find you the right home, from that time to closing, it's typically like 30 to 45 days is a typical close. So most lenders require 30 days, but you can do it a little sooner sometimes, depending on if there's any holidays. But I would say the average is 30 to 45 days. You can also negotiate if for some reason maybe you have a lease that's up and you have a little more time, you want to stretch that closing. We can ask the seller if they're willing to wait 60 days. That's been known, but your loan lock only lasts for 60 days. So you don't want to push that closing out more than 60 days unless you're willing to float that interest rate. So if it takes a while to find a home, which this is definitely pretty popular right now. Last year, it took me a year to find somebody a house. And last year was a rough year too because there were multiple offers on pretty much every house we wrote contracts on. So I have one where I wrote 9 contracts for a buyer. They finally found a house and they closed about 3 months ago, but we wrote 9 offers before they finally got one accepted. So everybody's different. Every scenario is different. The timeline is going to be different for everyone. Sometimes it's that first house you look at and you absolutely love it and you buy it and it all works out perfectly and you close within 40 days, and that was a 60-day process total. And then there's others that take me a year. You just never know. Obviously, everybody's situation and everybody's process is going to be a little bit different. So I just gave you a quick overview of the buying process, but each step could be a little bit different for everybody. So if you have any questions or concerns, please let me know and I'd be happy to sit down and go over the process and answer any questions that you may have. I'm Amy Pecoraro, Realtor, 4th generation Lombardian, and I know this area inside and out.